Okay, that's cool. You need water or something?
That's what did it to me.
Oh, the water did it. All right.
I don't want to be coughing next to the microphone. I know how it sounds.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, they got a new air conditioner.
I'm going to pause this. Mute it. Go here and say... chat. Room is company. All right, that's cool. All right, I think everything looks in order. Yeah, sweet. Hello, good evening.
Hello. There's various little samples of things in there. We have a happy perfume.
Happy perfume? I'm too anal for that to be messed up like that.
Careful what you say online. All right, stop fussing with this shit. What's the scoop, Em? How's your meditation practice?
Not great.
Shit, huh? Okay. It happens. Listen, you're not alone there. You reading Krishnamurti?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
No Krishnamurti?
I'm reading Longchenpa.
Oh, well, screw Krishnamurti. You're onto the big stuff. Uh-huh. Which
Kindly Meant to Ease Us, the first one.
Uh-huh.
I just
What do you think?
Yeah, I like it.
Sweet.
I think, what else did you read? Diamond Suture or something? She just was going through my books. And I read the
Can I ask you to throw me that iced tea over there? Right at me is just as good as to me. Thank you. Well, we'll talk about Longchenpa then. Not much to say, is there? Radiant this, radiant that. Everything's cool. Chill out.
Radiant this, radiant that. Reminds me of sitting in a corner for some unknown reason.
So, any topics of interest this evening? Topics, questions, rants?
Just same old endless
Same
torture.
old endless torture.
Unnecessary, unreasonable.
Good evening.
Surprise! Hey, he's so excited. Yeah.
That's what happens when your animals start feeling better, you know? They're like too friendly. Oh. That's very kind. Thanks.
It was in the car, so it's
Like melted.
It's really, oh yeah. What's the aroma?
Oh, I haven't.
Longchenpa. How do you like that?
What is it?
Longchenpa.
I'm sorry, what?
The aroma is Longchenpa.
Longchenpa?
Really?
Yeah.
Feminine.
Yeah. We were just talking about it. So he's a dead author.
Oh, okay. All right. So you dead guy.
Dead guy.
There was one missing. I used to have 3.
Oh yeah.
There's been one missing for a while. So.
Well, that's not all that's missing. Hello, James. Ketogenic Wonder Boy.
This is my daughter, Emily. Hi, Emily. How are you?
Yeah, I'm decorating for listening.
You were really.
Okay. Oh, okay.
And it's barely.
Wiping my butt.
I know, right? Taking care of this is some days you're like, is this thing, and it never ends. You're like, am I just gonna break? Brush the teeth, cut the hair, comb the hair, shampoo. I mean, yeah, make sure you got soap, go shopping for toothpaste, toothbrush.
It's got to be
Food is
easier.
never ending. It's like,
Could be
dude, how am I out of food again? I just-
Easier on Mars. Just eat pellets.
But it's fun to like look at this as like some weird. You're like, this thing is like something as like just another object, that is kind of doing whatever next for interest.
Whole thing.
Well, yeah, instead of being just like your body that's exhausting to take care of, you're just kind of like, oh, biology is fucking insane. It's, high maintenance.
It's been a long time since we've been on this.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've been here at Pebble Hill. That's right, where it all started. Like the universe started. It was the Big Bang actually occurred pretty much around on this campus, I think. Pebble Hill Church.
I was like sitting on a
Ground
bench.
zero for the Big Bang. And we're there.
I was sitting on a bench the other day. I looked down and it just said St. Peter's Playground. I'm like, this isn't Earth. This is just St. Peter's Playground. Like,
Same.
it's just funny. I don't know. It's like this isn't Earth.
No point in calling it Earth.
It's like a fucked up
That
playground.
never helped anybody. All right. What do you got? I mean, you want me to make some shit up, or you have anything?
Maybe Tucker or something.
Maybe Tucker has something.
He's like, there's no snacks.
No
guys?"
snacks?
This is what party is this?
So I was talking to my my acupuncturist. It's good to have people to talk to. And
Especially if you're paying them.
yeah, and if you're paying them, it's even better because they're obligated to listen to you.
Walk away.
That's right. And she said when she was going through acupuncture school in the 5-element tradition, the instructor referred to her as mind or small intestine meridian. Remember, Asian acupuncture is different than 5-element acupuncture, which has, other kind of interesting, call it spiritual elements to it, and the ethers, the whatever, are a little different in 5 elements. So it has some interesting cosmic kind of twists to it. She said that her instructor referred to her as small intestine, or what was called mind. And the bottom line there was that depending on your principal, well, in Ayurveda, you'd call it dosha. In 5-element, you'd call it your, prevailing element. Or, in this case, humor, which was small intestine, mind. So that's, let's just say that's your kind of life karma puzzle, right? That's, kind of a fundamental way in which you're constructed. And therefore your, let's say, challenges of, living and understanding and stuff like that are going to all present through that primary element or humor. So for her, mind, small intestine / mind was the insistence on knowing, or the insistence on figuring out, the right to know. And so, mind gets activized, of course, by, creating a referential world or a referential view that mind thinks is secularly legitimate. It doesn't see that it's the one that's generating the referential view. So the underlying conundrum then of mind is abject confusion, which mind doesn't see itself as being confused. And she was remarking, the acupuncturist was remarking, and we were both laughing, that she just denied being confused at all, ever, to this instructor. And the instructor was trying to point out to, like, that's your puzzle. You think you've got this, but what you're really dealing with is a profound level of confusion. Recognize mind has you so snafu'd. And it was a telling and challenging adventure for her through that education.
I wonder if confusion, maybe she didn't get it because she didn't see it as confusion.
That's right.
I mean, the word maybe is a little leading one way that she wasn't taking it. It's like,
well, that's the puzzle. So
misunderstanding or something.
The puzzle there is like my sense of the world and my construction of that world is anything, when the reality is it's absolute confusion. But that humor tricks itself, right? And so then the behavioral predilection, could be the imagination of assurance or surety, or having it together, not being confused, right? Applying oneself mentally to keep this imaginary persona operating. The last thing on its mind, pun intended, is the recognition of its own absolute confusion. So the catharsis then for that, life adventure is to become, more friendly, if not admiring, of absolute confusion, rather than to dedicate oneself, in a sense, superficially, pretending that I got this. So that was our little spiritual koan for that particular, needling session. I thought it was pretty poignant. Yeah. Now you take that metaphor into the Longchenpa zone. The Longchenpa zone is a reference to what the fuck is this? And if it's anything, since it hurts so much, is it possible to be liberated? I mean, really, bottom line. All the flashing aside, it's like, shit, what is this? Another way of is like, who am I? What's the nature of experience? Right? What's going on? Is there an orientation that could be had about the nature of experience that's not being, let's say, force-fed by conformist reality? By the myth of, right, this being ground zero, Pebble Hill being ground zero for the Big Bang. We're generally not that fond of asking even the most, you could say, obvious of questions, like, who am I? What is this? What's happening? Why, when, where, how? What's the takeaway? What's the implication? Can I know anything at all? Do I know anything at all? Can the acquisition of knowledge, which is all referential, provide me with tools for not just, let's say, survival, or tools of civilization, but if one is so wired, tools of liberation. And amongst the many, namely the 7.5 billion, few of whom I've actually met.
There are that many now? 7.5 billion?
Oh yeah, I think it's teeter. Yeah, it's around. Yeah, right. I think it's tapped out. Yeah.
We're starting to die off really early though.
Yeah, the die-off's cool. Better. That's right. I mean, they've just made vaccines mandatory in Italy, so that's going to up. That'll up the die-off. No problem there. But is one dwelling in one's life, surfing one's life, coping with one's life, getting the most from one's life, you know, in a, could we say, truly satisfactory manner. I don't know. I don't know if you, like I said, I haven't met many of the 7.5 billion, right? It's just a small sample, as a matter of fact. You know, white Judeo-Christians. All I got is a couple of white Judeo-Christians, so I got, you know, schmutz. I've been to India, so I met a few of them. Those are nice people, by and large. So that's the deal. What up?
Well, it's difficult when you have presuppositions, which is what I think your acupuncturist was dealing with, so that it actually is sort of beyond questioning or before questioning or something like it doesn't even get looked at.
Yes.
You know?
So, I mean, that's the, if I can make a grandiose accusation of the most of the 7.5 billion that I haven't met, that's the, right?
Yeah.
You know, kind of an underlying attribute of, you know, consciousness as a creature. There's not even a question.
And it's probably something that they didn't actually try to figure out ever.
That's just it. No
Yeah.
question is asked.
Mhm.
That's right. Yeah. You're born, if that's the case, you know, into whatever conditions you're born into, if that's the case, and your level of, let's say, education, exposure, you know, nourishment, the religious system you're expected to follow, the cultural, racial, gender, political propaganda, medical propaganda, industrial propaganda, right? Fake news, real news, propaganda. You're a product of the propaganda that you're exposed to. I mean, your fundamental nature is has a kind of spark to it.
Yeah.
Right? Your fundamental nature has a spark, but the way that you organize the so-called world and or your role in that world is propagandized, right, from the get-go. And that is, you could say, frustrating, unconsciously or semi-consciously frustrating, because you're a product of a propaganda machine, depending on, you know, your cultural milieu, your socioeconomic class, right, what you're raised on, the media that you're exposed to, whether you're under a so-called pluralistic democratic society, I don't think there's any of those left, or whether you're under, you know, one or other form of fascistic, you know, dictatorship. Then you're a product of, you know, misery, really. You're a product of civilization, and civilization is a product of misery. That doesn't keep us from fornicating and, you know, taking out that 7.5 billion line. And though the amount of so-called population expansion is slowing, according to the people that may have met more than my share of the 7.5 billion, that shake hands and say, are you stooping more or less lately? And people say, well, less lately. And say, well, okay, then the rate of population growth is slowing. We have a tendency to be un or semi-consciously limited by the permission that we give ourselves to dream. And we don't see the boundary condition that our own consciousness is functioning under. And we, of course, quarrel with that boundary condition and, you know, crave for something other, deeper, higher, better, more satisfying, more whatever.
You know, it seems to me that most of my time is pretty well prescribed, you know, and there's not that much time when I'm left to my fantasy.
Yeah.
I mean, I injected probably more than most people, or I allowed to show up more than many people that I know. But
Unscheduled consciousness.
well, unscheduled freedom, roaming.
Yeah, right.
But it just seems to me that there's so much of the time, this thing, time, that is pretty automatic, and it's just like the organism just doing its thing.
Yep.
And so it's this little of this consciousness of this very partial part. If we can bring time into it, maybe that's wrong. Maybe that's not appropriate.
Well, pick and choose anything you like to, dream out loud. What else is this doing? Absence, dreaming. Making it appear as if, you're a product of or an object in a sea of objects, imbued with something we could refer to as sentience, which could be mistaken for individuation and self-will. And that's where the deepest, let's say, frustrations occur as a consequence of individuation and self or free will. Yeah, right. Because then one's sense of whatever this is, I'll say suffers from or has to grapple with the split that is created in or by mind between this and not this, this and not this. And that's it. Then there's a problem. If there's this and not this, right? That's the creaturification of what we could refer to as consciousness. Blame it on the bossa nova. Now, if we're traveling a so-called spiritual path, if we are, even just for fun or show off to our friends, it doesn't even have to be that serious. If we are, then, invariably we're going to come up with cosmologies, accoutrements, practices, trinkets, methods, understandings, opinions. Yeah, I mean the whole gamut just comes streaming in like.
Anything that can be used for show and tell.
Show and tell. That's right. That's right.
Exclamations.
Exclamations. The whole deal. Yeah. Right. So because this is, whatever sentience might be, obviously has a tendency to be expressive. Yeah, I mean it is. It's it's show and tell 24/7. Right.
As this is.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's the same, right? This is show and tell. And so if we're whatever that means, here whatever that means, well, we're going to be a product of or a contributor, an enjoyer or a sufferer of show and tell.
As in I show up, you tell.
That's one way it looks. Yeah. And more intimately, it's the perturbation of your own streaming experience. Show and tell. Without even having a strong, spiritual or political opinion about anything. It's still remarkable show and tell, just the perturbation of what we refer to as experience, occurring however it occurs, to whomever it's occurring to, if there is any one that it is occurring to. What's the nature of whatever this might be? So if any of us come to a, let's say a too rapid conclusion, a too rapid conclusion about what this actually might be, well then, right, you've joined the political party of conformist reality, regardless of what your, leanings are.
But don't we just naturally, we're full of conclusions the whole way down the road, and now we're like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
I was making assumptions.
Yes.
And, you
Right.
know,
Mm-hmm.
but it's kind of like reverse engineering. It's not. I mean, that's. But I mean, you know, it's like.
No, in a sense it is. I mean, if you look at Vipassana, I don't think anyone that, you know, teaches it or practices it would have even the slightest quarrel with the metaphor of reverse engineering. I mean, it's very deliberate reverse engineering. You know, it's like, what is the body? Am I the body? Am I these sensations? Am I these emotions? Am I these thoughts? Am I time space, right? So it is a deliberate form of reverse engineering what's appearing as perturbations in a so-called field, and then the loyalty that we give to those perturbations. And so it's a deliberate dismantling process, you know, referred to in casual circles as insight meditation. And the insights, if they come, and it doesn't matter if they do, because they're never really that important anyway. You know, we make a big deal about, oh, I had an insight. It was like, oh, too bad. You know, but okay, you know, if you're in the Vipassana game, you're kind of an insight-oriented, you know, practitioner. So those insights do occur, and they occur, you could say, in some harmony with the reverse engineering of associating anything at all with what raw experiencing might actually be. And that's the nature of, that's the freedom path of Vipassana. Thoughts, excuse me, right? Sensations, excuse me. Emotion, excuse me. Implication, excuse me. Not me, not me. And so the yoga of not me, through that kind of inquiry, right, engagement, will for sure produce insight. Will it produce liberation? Jury's out. Insight, no question. Liberation, well, we'll just have to wait and see. And what is liberation? Well, fuck if I know. You can't refer to liberation, you know, from an objective, subjective point of view. You can't use the language of reference, right? Which is the language of mind, the language of objects, to refer to what realization might be. Because if realization is, let's just say, kind of a, you know, a happy little beyond, the implication of language, the implication of objects and pointing, what are you going to say about it?
Well, I deal with that constantly. Thank you.
You deal with it constantly, and I don't think you're alone.
Working at it.
Yeah, I'm working on it. Yeah, right. I'm working on it. Yeah. There's a let's just say a reflex, a knee jerk. Here's this so-called field of perturbation, sensation, experience. Whew! I mean, it's crazy, man. Even if I live a routine life, it's still crazy. And then there is not that and then. There's no really and then. Whatever shows up just shows up as a kind of a spontaneous entirety. You can't really parse it by saying, well, because of this, then this, then this, then this, and then I was like this, this, this. So if I quote reverse engineered, I should be able to get all the way back to where nothing's happening at all. Well, good luck with that. You know, why not? Try it. Try it. Go give it a whirl. Get back to where nothing's happening at all by reverse engineering what appears to be happening. And using a tool like Vipassana to disengage from, right, personal presumption about the nature of experience. Anything that's gradual, like, you know, what was his name? Stephen, the guy that died. Noah's dad. He, you know, his kind of popular book in that genre was called A Gradual Awakening. Levine, Divine. Yeah.
Noah, I'm thinking Abraham.
Noah Levine is his you know, punk Buddhist cool son that has become.
We're going everywhere.
Sorry about that. Ralph Waldo Emerson. No. Thomas Alva Edison, no. A gradual awakening. Yeah. So that's kind of cool. It's not true, but it's a nice, you know, it's nice. What does mind love to do? Well, obviously the only thing it can do. And the only thing it can do is tell stories about stories. Just mind is just a movement of, you know, subtle or gross, willful or involuntary, that comes in, you know, kind of after the fact or on top of or underneath the raw data of perturbations in so-called consciousness.
Well, you can feel it also like process itself in some way. Like,
Absolutely.
it like clears things out, and you couldn't find them if you try, you know. And then it's like you're like, oh, this is like just processing the data. And
Yep.
moving things.
A very polite way of saying I'm crazy. And even the, you know, lucid observation of this processing itself, is it processing itself?
Yeah.
I mean, we're like, you're toast. Yeah. You really can't come up with a binding lucid observation about what this is doing, because that's what this is doing. You can't stand outside of it and say, whoa, look at what it's doing.
No.
You can't, because every gesture you make is,
trying to do.
that's right.
Keeps getting you on.
That's right. So, you know, the typical, let's just say, puzzle of the seeker, were there a seeker, is that, you know, I want to get a leg up on this. I want to be able to observe through my lofty height or my, you know, simple cushion with beginner's mind, the fuck is this? And see if I can come up with an observation that pegs or elucidates or, you know, gives me something or other. Now, that's the same delusion as my, you know, acupuncturist. That's the delusion of small intestine, or the delusion of mind, is that it imagines that it can actually take a position outside of itself as a symptom and then remark upon shit as if it's no longer a symptom. Fuck you. You can't do it. And it's not because you're not enlightened. That has nothing to do with it. It just can't be done. It just can't be done. But you see, as long as that fundamental identity, which is involuntary and has no cause, I mean, you know, is it dependent origination? Is it Big Bang? Is it nature? Is it nurture? Bullshit. The fundamental sense of identity is involuntary and has no cause. It's a fucking causal. Now you're toast, because you're like, well, how did I get to be like this? Nobody knows. That you're an asshole, we all agree. But how you became one, nobody knows.
I like
With everybody I encounter.
How did I get to be like this? I don't know. Obviously, it's.
Let's count the ways.
Let's count the ways. Right, right. It loves me. It loves me not. It loves me. It loves me not. That's right. Consciousness is dead. Long live consciousness. So let's just say a kind of release might start to percolate up when the habit of acquisition, which is a story told about a story, told about a story, told about a story that happens to include me. Me being a story about a story about a story and about a story that is a causal. You know, it's like that Star Trek episode, the old one with Mudd. And Mudd had all those wives, and they were all robots. They were pretty tough robots. And, you know, Kirk and his pals were kind of incarcerated with Henry Mudd and the robot wives. But Spock came up with a great idea that asked one of the robot wives some kind of, you know, basically paradoxical question that the robot mind couldn't deal with. And she literally went tilt and smoke came out of her ears. And that's how they outsmarted, you know, the robot wives that were holding them captive. And I'm not don't mean this in a gender way. I didn't write the script. But it was, you could say, an insightful utilization of paradoxical implication that fried the circuits of the robot captors, regardless of their gender. And that's what we have to do. If you want to wake up, and I don't know what that means or why you'd want to do it, that's your problem. But if you do, you're going to have to pull a Spock on this. You're going to have to somehow intuit, somehow attune, somehow nothing at all, because no effort is required. How could you possibly? What magical tools are you going to use to outsmart this shit, since you're a fucking symptom? Nothing, man. You got nothing.
Well, it seems like that koan was the one magical tool that.
Yeah. Yes. So that's it is the koan of this present experience. This is the koan. This is it. This is the, if it were a gateway, and thankfully it's not, but if it were, it's both the gateway to confusion, you know, the acupuncturist imagining she's not, right? I imagine I'm not confused. That's ultra confusion. Confusion, and just call it whatever, not confusion. But not confusion is not a state. Not confusion is not a wisdom. Not confusion is not confusion, or beyond confusion is you got nothing. You got nothing. You don't have a thing. That you could say is the revelation, right, of a quality of intelligence that is not befuddled. And here it is. Curiously, that which one might be seeking, if you're smart enough or unfortunate enough to be a seeker. You know, the jury's out whether you're smart enough or unfortunate enough. But here it is. Here's call it the living, expressive, sentient paradox of perturbations in a field about which endless stories can be and are seemingly told that make it appear as if you're fucking here. That make it appear as if you're here. You're not. There's no here. But that reflex of individuation that pretends to make this all about self, or self all about this, however it goes, is an absolute hallucination. You want to say, well, physical sensation is responsible for, you know, the I, right? The great I am, like the Wizard of fucking Oz, is responsible for, you know, I. The Big Bang, ground zero. What? Tell me what? What? What do you got? What did the Buddha have? What did Ramakrishna have? What did Nisargadatta have? What did Krishnamurti have? What did Longchenpa have? What the fuck did they have that they could possibly say, well, this is because of that? Ungats. That's what they had. Ungats. Guess what? You're in good shape. You ride high with the highest names in the business because you got Ungats too. You used to think, well, the Buddha had an advantage, you know, grew up in a palace, you know, fasted, stood on his head, you know, so-and-so had an advantage, born of a divine parentage, you know, so-and-so had a bullshit. What did they have? Ungats. What do you got? Same. Just because unusual personalities show up, you know, within the field of human culture that one might call divine, sacred, saintly, enlightened, that's their problem. The worship of those, you know, odd mutants, that's my problem. Why do I make their problem my problem by worshiping it? It's Ungats all around. If we pretend to give a shit goddamn about someone else's experience, who do we really care about? My experience. What the fuck? Oh, I really care how you're feeling. Because it somehow shines a light on, you know, how I'm feeling. Otherwise, I don't give a shit about, you know, I can't even possibly give a shit about how you're feeling.
My thoughts and prayers are with you.
Thank you.
If there's one statement that just is the most grating thing ever,
Yeah.
it's that.
Okay.
I'm trying to show you I'm a caring individual.
Beth's two aunts, one of them remains, were very sincere about, you know, praying for me. I mean, I think it worked out.
They were praying for you for what, like that the devil would be released from your soul?
Yeah, shit like that. Yeah. I mean, they meant
I could see
it.
that.
They meant it in a very affectionate, you know, way. But the first conversation we had, me and the spinster Christian aunts, the Christian spinster aunts. Is that like a dance group? Dancing with the Stars. Yeah, right. It's the Christian spinsters.
These are aunts of yours?
These are Beth's aunts. Two aunts, one's still living. The other one prayed for me, and look what happened. Don't pray for me. No, it's not going to work out for you. But yeah, I mean, we got into it kind of fun. You know, non-dualist middle-class Jew from Long Island, fencing with, you know, Irish Catholic gals from the East Side, right? The Northeast Philly.
Idea, you should run.
Yeah. So, you know,
Outnumbered.
it was a fun conversation. It's a long time ago. And but they decided that they would pray for me, and I think that worked out.
16 years ago.
If you can find someone that is, you know, of faith, and if they agree to pray for you, just accept it. Just say yes. You never know, you know, what kind of gifts might come.
Look at you now.
Just look at me now. Yeah. Thriving. I'm thriving in Ungats.
Making enemies in every turn.
Yeah,
I see you're wearing orange.
that's right. Well, I was feeling kind of renunciate. I was kind of in a renunciate mood today. So I went ochre. Yeah, that too. So this is the fun part. Talk very intimately about one's present so-called sensibility. What is the nature of present sensibility? Consciousness, sentience, processing, availability, experiencing. Whoa, 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 whoa. I mean, if we were really telling the truth, it would be whoa, 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 and you'd never stop. I mean, you would die. You would die, you know, because you'd go hungry and you'd probably stop breathing at some point because whoa, 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 oh my God, whoa, whoa, because it's, I mean, experiencing is actually that way. Oh, Jesus, oh, what the fuck, oh, God, whoa, I don't even know where to feel. I don't even know where to look. I don't even know what to do. I mean, I have to dumb this shit way down to pretend to be functional. You have to dumb this shit way down, make it about you, just to appear to be functional. Otherwise, it's whoa, 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 and it never stops. Really. So what is the remarkable nature of the sensibility? It doesn't have to be sensible. That is like, holy shit. Now, see how easily we forget, habituate to, disregard the absolute nature of total incomprehensibility. And then we go like the small intestine, make shit up so that I can establish a so-called foothold in the midst of whoa, 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 that makes it look like personal durability, personal duration, a cosmology that I'm, that I belong to, that I believe in. Praise the Lord. What the fuck?
This all basically comes down to like taking care of this too. It's just all body, like feed this, make money for this.
Yeah.
God is kind of, relatable to
Yeah.
this being taken care of in some way.
Right.
Maybe as an extroverted soul, but it was still.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Feed it, bathe it, clothe it,
Pray for it,
pray for it, and then act out.
wipe its butt.
I can't even get those right.
I hear you. Yeah. Yeah. Some of the things that, like, we might take for granted. Not everyone has that down. You don't know if that's grace or a problem. Who knows? Is it grace or a problem that I can't even get the most basic shit together? I don't know. If you're a creature, it's a problem. If this is nothing at all, it might look like grace.
Might not be so bad.
Might not be so bad. And it is a little scary, with all due respect, that one that feels competent as a creature has to, at some point, through illness, through trauma, through life experiences, through spiritual epiphany, might have to come to terms with an inability to even carry, the baseline with grace. Wow. Everyone thinks, oh yeah, I want to be enlightened. Oh yeah, hey, I want to be enlightened. Oh, I've read this and gone there and seen this and retreated here, and I've Longchenpa, Krishnamurti. I've seen so and so and so and so, and I even work on this asshole's website, and I'm really plugged into the enlightenment thing, man. I'm like so plugged in. I'm so plugged in.
Woke.
Right? I've seen Roger Castillo.
Pay their money and their food, and they're like, what?
I've met James Stroll. I should really be a shoo-in for this.
Not interested anymore.
But no one really wants to lose baseline. Nobody wants to pay the fee for erasure. So enlightenment then is seen, realization is seen as, of course, as an accoutrement of understanding, an accoutrement of insight, an accoutrement that will, provide the greatest salve mankind, womankind, this kind can ever know. Invulnerability, emotional stability. I hate using the word compassion, equanimity, shit like that. We think that enlightenment or something is an accoutrement of self. Hi. Good luck with that. And if it's not, if whatever a change in consciousness might be that compromises my baseline, guess how far I'm going to run? Guess how quick and how far I am going to run away from that? Pretty quick, pretty far. Pretty quick, pretty far. Mind goes to fancy instantaneously before you could even say, oh, I've gone to fancy again. That's how quick. Mind goes to fancy faster than you can quarrel with that reflex. Now what are you going to do? If you're the product of fancy, if you're the product of, multi-tiered storytelling about nothing that actually happened, then you're a product of just way, way too much, without even recognizing that you're the product of way, way too much. So now you are on the hamster wheel of, storytelling. perturbation. Yeah, figuring something out. Taking that baseline competency and monetizing it. I'm going to take this baseline competency, what little it remains, and I'm going to monetize it all the way to the grave. And you know, if they do my marker right, it'll say that fucking guy took his baseline competency and monetized it all the way to the grave. Woo!
Big thumb.
Big thumb. There's going to be a big thumb.
Right.
Yeah. I remember when my dear friend Alan Steinfeld, you know, I was fucking with him, he was fucking with me. That's what dear friends do. So I sent him a gravestone, a picture of a gravestone with his name on it. I mean, in big letters, and it said something about, you know, a guy that was spiritual. You know, just some little quirky. He got upset. I'm like, that was easy. That's the Staples button. That was easy. You see what happens? He got upset. Hey, don't put my name on a gravestone. Don't make fun of my, you know, spiritual accomplishments. That's not funny. Oh, really?
You crossed the line.
You just crossed the line. The line. That's right. I'm like that.
You don't walk the line.
I don't walk it. I cross it. Yeah. So you see, that's where the great spiritual heroism of my dear friend Alan got tested in the most innocent of manner with just plastering his name on a gravestone. It was like he wasn't spiritual anymore. At least not right then. What does it take? James Stroll went down like like toilet paper. Fuck. Hey, that's not about love. What is? But enough about them. What about me? How do I, whatever I is, good luck figuring that out. How do I, where's my line? Where's my line of, you know, can I be insulted and challenged and demeaned and, you know, poor? Where do I start to get upset?
Well, that's what auditing is all about, I think.
Yes, good point. This is now a Scientology group.
They train you, but that's different. It seems to me.
Well,
Like
it's easily, yeah.
It's like the shield.
That's right. That's right. It's not. You don't want to be conditioned, whether by Scientology or positive thinking or whatever, to make it appear as if you have become imperturbable. Because that's not going to work. That's got nothing to do with this.
Faking it big time.
Totally fake it. Fake it till you make it. I'm going to sign up for Scientology, audit the shit out of me. All of my psychic and, you know, behavioral vulnerabilities will end up on tape. That'll be no good. Then they'll have me for life because I don't want to be embarrassed, and, you know, they'll take whatever cash I have at the threat of, you know, releasing my auditing tapes to, you know, Tom Cruise and his family.
So yeah, that.
Oof. Oh my God. Oh my God.
That would be fake news.
Yeah, well, this is fake news. That's what it is. You know, even happy, right? Like people are like, oh, you know, I want to be like peaceful and spiritual and happy, and I want to be like, you know, like that more. You're like, that sounds great. But you see, all of those are symptoms of a myth, right? They're symptoms of, you know, identification, symptoms of physicality, symptoms of time, symptoms of the creature. Listen, if you want to be something, because you are complicit. You're complicit in the myth of yourself.
And it'll keep you busy.
It does keep you busy. Yeah. It does keep you busy.
What a strange way to put it. Plus, I mean, it sounds like there's two of you.
Well, how many you got?
Well, I don't know.
Right? The nature of that, call it root sensibility, which is, oh shit, whoa boy, what the F. You know, that's kind of, in a sense, that's a transcendent, if not transient, capacity of the recognition that experiencing is occurring. That's not you. That's not marred by or colored by your, you know, your shithouse personality. or all the wonderful things that you've turned out to be. No, that raw root, oh my God, sentient, you know, wonder field is not conditionable, and yet you appear in it too. You, as a composition, a real shitty composition, like an 8th grade composition on LSD, you're appearing as a composition in that ineffability. So yeah, there always feels like there's two. That's the fundamental split between this and other. The root it's just bliss. The root is bliss. But then the story appears in the root, and that's you. So you can't help but to be schizophrenic. I want some peace, and I'd like to have a little bit of, you know, that. And chocolate cake. I'd like to stop smoking so much pot, but I'd like to help people in foreign countries, and I love the Buddha, but I might be more of a Christian. But I'd like a little peace. You're like,
Can you offer me peace right now? I'm
Yeah.
interested, so-
yeah, that's right. Yeah, right. That's right.
I would like peace later.
I want peace, like I want like later, because like now, like, you know, I'm smoking. Too funny. Well, that's the thing about the so-called gradual awakening. As true as it is as false as it is. This, well, here's fun. This doesn't need to be awakened to. Duh. Duh. And I think that's where, you know, our dear friend Longchenpa, you know, rides into town, right, on a purple unicorn. This doesn't need to be awakened to. Take that.
Being awakened clearly is indicating that that's happening to someone, right?
There's a problem.
Yeah.
There's a problem. That's right. Because any measure, morass of perturbation, the incomprehensibility and Peter's word, the indeterminacy, right, of the undulating nature of so-called experience. What makes it impossible, makes it actually impossible to be anything at all, be anywhere at all, be of a certain nature. Even though astrology and human design systems and tarot and, you know, all have their curious, right, playful, poetic contribution to the bizarritude of, you know, human behavioral systems. See how quickly the miracle of what I'm referring to as root sensibility tells a story, animates. Now, it doesn't animate, if I dare say, it doesn't animate through it only animates through reference.
Does it animate through biology?
No,
Or like a creature?
no,
Something called life.
right. Yeah. It animates through reference. Without reference, what? This needs
Got nothing I can't say to what you said.
ungats. You you got ungats. Yeah. Right. Without the narrative, which is the appearance of an existential split or separation between the so-called immediacy of indeterminacy and a story told about it. Right? It's that same curious split of the profundity of yourself being insufficient, and so the imagination of yourself appears in the profundity of yourself, and now you're a schizophrenic asshole with ungats. and you've just become inconsolable and intolerable.
A good title for a poem: Schizophrenic Asshole with Ungats.
Ungats. And that's where the seekers the seekers dwell. That's how we seekers roll. Inconsolable and intolerable. Fuck.
And you're here to tell them so.
I'm trying. That's right. My guru told me, "Oh, you want to be useful?" I made the mistake of saying, "Sure." I should have said, "No, not my problem." But I was like, "Oh yeah, sure." He said, "Well, let everyone know they got ungats." I was like, I'll give it my best shot." I should have said no. It is, yeah. You tell them
Relaxing on a beach somewhere.
they got ungats. And if they don't believe you, you tell them to talk to me. You're dead. Well, now you're on your own, asshole. Now it's up to you. See if you can convince him with what you're made of. Right.
I know, you don't have any cool funny stories or
I got nothing.
large entities.
I got nothing. Yeah. Mine is just a path of indulgent failed devotion. Shit. Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. At least when he talked to his guru, when Prahlad talked to his guru, the big guy with the big feet and the coming out of the blah, 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 won't I ever amount to anything? And his guru told him, he said, through you, a great work will be done. Right? When I said to him, won't I ever amount to anything? He was like, no. I shouldn't have asked. I shouldn't have asked. He was compelled to tell the truth. But master, won't I ever amount to anything? No. Oh, fuck. I came all this way. And what did I end up with? Ungats. If you end up with something, it's imagined. Doesn't mean you can't take it to the bank. You can take it to the bank. I don't know if you'll earn any interest on it. I want to end up with something. What? A little peace, a little, some enlightenment. Well, just I'm not greedy. Just like, that much. No, sorry.
Not for the likes of you.
Not for the likes of you. If you have the good fortune to go see like a real guru, like a real one, that real guru is going to ask you a question. If it's a real guru, he, she, it, I don't care if it's inanimate. That guru is going to ask you a question. What's that question going to be? I'll tell you what it's going to be. How much irrelevancy can you take?
So much.
That's it. If your guru doesn't ask you that question, find another guru. If your guru fails to ask you that question in one way or a million, how much irrelevancy can you stand? If you don't hear that, move on, because you're in the hands of a poser. A poser.
Which many prefer.
Which, and thank God they're easy to find.
Getting easier by the minute.
Getting easier by the minute.
Yes.
Yeesh.
Posers are us.
We're gonna start an anti-enlightenment group.
We have
Poser.com.
poser.com. You see, the moment, and it's not even a moment because it happened long before you even considered it. So you can't even say it's a moment because it happened before you even took notice of it. The moment that this is something, you've got a relevancy problem. If this is something, you got a relevancy problem. You're not going to solve that by doing Vipassana or Bhastrika. It's not going to help. It might clear your sinuses, but it's not going to liberate you from the myth of relevancy.
Suzanne, I have a relevancy problem.
I have a relevancy problem.
Can you help me?
Knock, knock. Who's there? My relevance. Relevant who? That's what I want to know. Liberation isn't from anything, but the collapse of having a relevancy problem could turn out to be somewhat relevant to you. It's too fast. It's too smart. It's smarter than you are, though it is you. And you're like, oh, I'm glad something's smarter than I am.
Yeah.
But it keeps outsmarting me. And I, toil through the biological day with a relevancy problem. Ouch. Oof. Ugh. Yikes. Hey, I'm a person. No, you're just a ghost with a relevancy problem. Are you a real guru? Yes, I am. I'm going to test you. Test away. Ask me a question. No. No, come on, ask me a question. How much relevancy can you stand? Ah, a real guru. Sometimes you got to nudge them a little bit. You got to pressure them. They want to know how serious you are. They're not just going to give you the best they got if you're casual. Why? Right? I mean, even Jesus said something about pearls and stones and shit like that, right? Right? Cast stones before swine, pearls, pigs. Don't cast your pigs before your stones. You got a nice set of stones, go for the pearls. Something like that. Yeah.
Where's bacon fit?
There's got to be bacon in there somewhere because this is America.
Does bacon go before? I would think bacon.
Only kosher bacon.
Kosher bacon first.
How much irrelevancy can you take?
Not much.
Okay, at least it's honest. It's a big step. Just like not much, far out. There's not a heroic adventure. It's more like candor is much more powerful than heroism in this shit. Really it is. Heroism is, it's got too much Dudley Do-Right going for it. You want to just be like, I'm so fucked. That's more powerful. Way more. I'm so fucked. Shit. Yeah. Yeah, that's nice. See, authenticity mutates into wonder. Bullshit just stays bullshit. Not my rule.
I got this.
Yeah.
I can handle.
Yeah. Authenticity is a solvent for bullshit. And by virtue of being a solvent for bullshit, it has a chance to mutate into wonder. Bullshit just stays bullshit. It doesn't mutate. Can't.
Defended.
Yeah. It can't.
I'm wondering if the authenticity is, I mean, I'm analyzing.
What else we got?
If the authenticity is actually part and parcel of the authenticity,
Let's hope so.
so that that's where it has the ability to basically free you from the bullshit.
Mm-hmm. I'll go with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. If you were
You just said,
if you were serving that at a barbecue, I would take two.
okay. Now I feel bad.
Why?
You're placating me now, come on.
Would I do that?
Can't wait. Yes.
Look,
Unless you're not feeling well. But
you're
anyway.
just like 007. 007 has a license to kill. You have a license to dream. So whatever you pluck from this is fantastic.
Yeah, because I'm like, it's, the word truth is sort of like, for me.
Yeah.
It's similar to authenticity, and I feel as though that is, that actually is valid.
Yes.
So I'm giving it a validity.
Yes.
Where
Yes.
in most cases, everything
Well,
else is irrelevant.
so there-
Everything
Well,
else
there you
is
go. There's
irrelevant.
the reflex of creating relevancy. Because in some way, psychically, spiritually, practically, it's pleasing. It's pleasing to, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's pleasing to elucidate, to feel, relevancy.
It's yeah.
Yep.
Pleasurable.
That's right. Just
And it's something for the mind to occupy itself that is not offensive. I guess.
okay. Again, look, all this is doing is telling stories about itself to itself. And if we're intelligent and we've read some stuff and had a handful of way the fuck out conversations, well, we become more entertaining, right? I mean, Longchenpa for some was, the high end of entertainment. Dzogchenish entertainment. Why not? Why not? Does it make
Yeah,
anything?
What else is there?
What else is there? It's not like he said anything that was particularly true. But when you start let's say chilling out with whatever the fuck this is, you could end up with some pithy remarks. You could say cool shit like, how much irrelevancy can you stand? Nirmanakaya, Sambhogakaya, Kaya.
They're pithy in their own language.
Yeah, everything's pithy in their own way.
Yes, yes. Time is a trap. That's what it is. It's a
Boy.
trap.
It is a trap. It's the trapless trap.
Trappers, traps.
As trapless traps go, time is the worst trapless trap of them all.
It's completely irrelevant.
It's getting completely irrelevant, says me. I read it in Longchenpa.
But it feels relevant, so therefore it's a trap.
Be here now. You know what Ram Dass says. If we do anything, and we're not so good at it, you know, we you could say make fun of, right? Make self fun of, or each other, which is always more fun. Make fun of the improvisational nature of being, the improvisational nature of, you know, thinking anything, believing anything, saying anything.
It's like a roasting of consciousness.
It's like a roast. Yeah,
Consciousness.
that's right. You know, if there were no past, what the fuck difference does it make how you feel now? If there was no future, what the fuck difference does it make how you feel now? If how you feel now becomes either an obstacle of attraction or aversion, it's because you've imagined that it, right? It was before now and or will persist. You imagine that how you feel now is the consequence of one or a million things, you know, karmic, medical, mood, astrology, 5-element acupuncture, and that Trump, and that somehow experience is binding. Frank. That, right, that sense, that incredible sense, magical power, city that we have, that this does, to take this juicy, undulating, incomprehensible, indeterminate, presently appearing weirdness and go, whoop, I know how this came about. I know where this is going. Now you're toast.
But you get to listen to yourself. Say it.
Joy,
And
joy.
then you get to say, what a fucking stupid fuck I am.
There you
It
go.
keeps you entertained,
There you go.
you know.
Yeah.
Entertaining.
Yeah.
Ceaselessly entertaining.
Pretty much ceaselessly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And entertaining.
And again, it's not, you know, it's not, let's say, a deliberate, effortful commitment to past and future. It's not. The dream of past and future comes with. It's on tap. What effort does one need to make for, whoop, you know, a horizon of time to occur in mind spontaneously? No effort at all. The horizon of time appearing spontaneously, impersonally, effortlessly in what we might refer to as mind is the banality of self. The burden of relevance. Well, how am I going to find my keys? How am I going to drive? How am I going to go to work? I don't know.
It's all automatic.
It's on autopilot.
You're right.
It never had anything to do with you anyway. So what makes you think that if you completely fall apart at the seams, anything will change?
But, you know,
You say that's self trying to defend itself.
Well, there you go. It's not like relevancy is actually ever relevant. It just suffers from constant self-defense. You never become relevant. You never do. You just end up in perpetual defensiveness to the so-called grave. And now that the juice is loose, there's a better chance you might get there sooner.
He has till October, by the way. Has till October. OJ.
Seriously?
That's why they call him the juice.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Isn't that what?
I thought it was just football.
Huh?
OJ.
Yeah.
The juice.
That's nice.
Yeah, you can find everything out you want to know.
Well, yeah, you can go watch. They just have made all these movies about it.
Yeah.
It's not, yes.
The idea of this notion of action, you know, we're action machines, or what's that to say, action figures.
Yes, the action figure. Yeah.
But it seems like you could say that dropping the action is even an action. But it
Yes.
seems to me if it's a conscious dropping of action, you know, who knows?
There's nothing but the profundity of this living, and then the commentary.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. I mean, you could say
But I
that's,
think that there's something that's not action that reveals truth.
sounds like a cover of a book.
It's too sluttered.
I mean, the instinct is there. There's no quarrel that the instinct is there. But the instinct, I would say, is more devastating than the cover of the book. Right? Yeah. Because the instinct is annihilating of the myth of self. The cover of the book is like, oh, good, another read. Right? I mean, if you can write the next Power of Now, I'll quit your fucking job and hole up in a closet and get that sucker done.
The power of that.
Power of Snow. Power of Bacon.
Coach.
The fun part is this without narrative. And that doesn't have to be a steady state, because there's no such thing. It's not like you have to pretend to be Gary Weber and have no thoughts. That's just a guy on a poser list. See that the remarkable nature of so-called present experience, sensibility, sentience, is absolute absence. Its nature is absence. Start there. That's Longchenpa. Start there. Start boom, right there. Boom, absence. Radiant being. Start there. then we can strip away all the horse shit, which is different than trying to strip away horse shit to get to absence. Stop wasting your fucking time. Absence, dude, absence. Master, I think you're on something.
We don't need the 10 steps to
No.
absence.
You don't need no steps to absence, right? So, see, that's a sublime, right? That's a sublime instinct.
So that's before all presuppositions on hung-up presuppositions.
Well, it's good to be hung up. It's good to be hung up on something.
You're bringing nothing. You're bringing nothing to
You're bringing nothing to the table.
play. Nothing.
Nothing.
Mind to get onto.
Ungats.
And fucking, you know,
Fucking- Fucking fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, shut the fuck up.
This is what's up. Doesn't everybody want to hear what I'm thinking? No. Well, that's how to make friends. If you give me a snack, I will give you 2 minutes of my attention. Better be good. 2 minutes goes fast. If there are no objects appearing in attention,
Yeah, there's no subject to see them.
there's no subject to see them.
Or vice versa.
Versa versa. I go both ways. I mean, and that's the nature of whatever presence is. It's its nature. It's done. You're done. You're toast. You're cooked. You're irrelevant. You're absent. You're everything you might have ever hoped for. Bada boom, bada bing. But then the narrative pours in and convinces emptiness of, like, you know, wearing a nice tuxedo. Hey, you look really great in that tuxedo. You think so? You think so? Now you're screwed. So that's what this does all the time. Hey, you look really fantastic. You think so? You think so? Oh, you're fucked. Don't let it convince you of how marvelous you look. Don't let it convince you that you are anything at all, that about which anything could be spoken. You look fantastic. Oh, really? Oh, really? Well, now I've got a lot of ideas. I knew you would. As soon as I complimented you, I knew you'd have a lot of ideas. Psh, that was easy. Took another one down. 7,499,999,999 to go.
I don't even know how to write that out.
No, that was a strain. Are you the product of anything? No. You're not the product of anything. You're not the consequence of anything. No. Even here at Ground Zero, fantastic Pebble Hill Church, where all consciousness began.
Now, that's what they've been wanting from you all along.
Yeah, really.
Finally delivering.
That's right. Sing our praises, motherfucker. I certainly will. Pebble Hill Church, where consciousness began. White Judeo-consciousness. Judeo-Christian consciousness. You have this, you know, scintillating impossibility of attention. And it's like, jeez, fuck, how do I get rid of this? Ew. But you can't wipe it off. You can't get rid of it. Well, then you may as well turn it into a religion and then kill some
Give it a
people.
shot.
Yeah, turn it into a religion,
Lose.
Make friends with it.
get some territory, kill some people, build an empire. Yeah, this is working for me. I couldn't get rid of it, so I started an empire and killed a bunch of people. And now I'm heading for Mars.
It's trying to be relevant. You know.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and then we're heading to Mars.
Right.
We talk about that.
Now that we've conquered this shithole and made it uninhabitable, we're going to Mars. We're going to make Mars great again.
I'm cool if all the rich people want to go to Mars.
I'm cool with it. Yeah, that's nice. Hey, see ya.
Yeah, I see it. Go now.
1% gets to go.
Yeah, the 1% gets to go to Mars. That's right. I love it.
Let's at least die in peace.
Yeah, that's right. What was the topic tonight?
Your relevance.
There you go.
Very good.
Relevant. Cleaning the ashes.
Clean the assholes.
I thought it was that you look good.
You look marvelous. And you got some really great ideas.
And the juice.
Watch out for the juice.
Watch out for the juice. The juice is
We like to do current events.
I like to be safe.
Circle time.
You know, make sure, yeah.
That's
Listen,
right.
There's a killer on the loose.
That's the Doors.
It's not so current.
Pebble Hill, the seat of consciousness, thanks you for your generous contribution.
Bottomless pit.
Just throw it down or.
Just throw it down. We'll pick up what you're putting down. Make sure it gets into the right hands. Thanks for stopping in. I hope this was helpful to you.
Know what I have to do.
Now you know what you have to do.
Avoid the juice on the way home.
Now I know what I have to do.
Remember. Same schedule for the weekend, right?
Tomorrow, Panera. Sunday morning, Wegmans.
I have no idea.
You're not alone. How's the father-in-law?
Oh, he's
All right. Happy to hear that, I guess.
yeah.
It was nothing.
It was
It was nothing
This time.
this time.
just.
Oh, yeah, this time.
Was he faking it?
I don't think so. You never know. He's probably faking it without even knowing. Okay, see ya.
I know how that feels.
Yeah.
All right, he's gone. Let's talk about him. Any questions? I don't even know what that means.
What was the question?
I don't know. Any questions? Burning desires, they say. Should we do the Lord's Prayer?
And you ask any questions because that's where the good stuff is.
Yeah. Keep coming back. It works if you work it.
Turn the air conditioner off.
Off?
Oh, yeah. It's chilly.
You got chili? Turn it off.
It's gonna get hot really quick, but.
I don't think it's that bad on. Yeah, it looks like a blonde. Looked like it was gonna rain earlier, but I don't think it did.
Be good.
I can't take it any irrelevance.
Okay then. I hear you.
Or I can take as much as you can dish out.
I'm doing my best.
I don't want to know. I'm afraid I'm going to miss something.
You are. It's gonna have the Kundalini awakening as soon as you leave.
Yeah, as soon as you leave, out comes the Kundalini awakening.
Well, you're giving out a Zoom box.
You're not gonna get murdered by OJ.
Yeah. Don't go out there.
There used to be snacks here somewhere.
Yeah, he smells the remnants.
Well, I mean, it is 9:09. 1 after 9:09. Move over once. Move over twice.
That thing is totally bigger than the.
Who would parole? I don't understand.
Well, you have to remember he was serving a sentence for a jewelry burglary,
Yeah, I know.
Can't even
not
consider-
for a cold-blooded murder.
I mean, but
Never
I mean,
proven
you say like,
guilty.
I'm not gonna do that, but like your unconscious and subconscious mind, they act without your knowing, like just.
He may have mellowed out. I don't know. He may not. He may still be suffering from NFL concussive injuries.
Yeah, he's probably getting crazier as he gets older. That's
That could be.
scary. Like it's a dude who like already like flipped once, so you know.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe he's really well behaved. Maybe, but I don't know. It's hard to believe.
Yeah.
I guess some people when they get older, they get.
If we have to watch him driving down the 405 one more time,
I mean, like
They're showing.
You want to go play golf with him?
no.
No.
Would you trust him with golf clubs in the sand and turn your back?
No. Well,
I think it's okay as long as you don't date him, you know.
Don't steal his merchandise or whatever you're getting.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I've heard he's a pretty nice guy if you just hang out with him. Nice
I'm sure it's fantastic.
Nice guy.
He's going to move in with KOK. He's in line.
Yeah.
You can see condensation in the air conditioner.
Shouldn't be dripping inside.
Should I check the sink?
Maybe the sink. I don't know. Was it dripping or am I trying to
Sounds
close
like
it?
the
It
sink
just
to me, sorry.
still is dripping.
Might still be dripping.
I'm not trying to-
If it's in the drain.
You ever seen
I
one
wonder
on
if the air
station?
conditioner might have gotten.
He's going to come out and be like,
It's coming from the connection, not out of the faucet.
Oh, it's dripping from like the hot water thingamabob.
The centerpiece where the faucet comes out.
Oh, okay. So yeah. There you go. We solved that problem. Oh,
We figured something out. Ta-da.
that made the meeting worthwhile.
so did she realize that her acupuncturist, did she say, oh yeah, I get it now? Did she come to the realization that? oh,
Yes, yes, which is not easy to do, but yeah, it seemed that by virtue of the way that she told the story and the experience of it and her own, life
Had a couple
process,
kids and that helped.
and yeah, and being a young parent of young children, I think her basic delusion was revealed.
So there's four 4 others? What are the others? Do you know? Did
I-
you say?
We could have her come in as a guest lecturer.
I wonder
And-
if we all have a little bit of all of them, if we're predominantly one.
I think it's, yeah, I think, yeah, I think it's all, yeah, sure, it's a mixture of, all kinds of things, but typically there's a predominant presentation. Yeah, I mean, in the Buddhist, world, it's the, whether you're, there's 3 predominant personality styles. One is the forgetful. No.
Dissociative.
Yes, one is the kind of dissociative or, not quite here at one thing or another. Then there's the greedy, like the accumulator and the certain kind of meticulous, management of things, right? Then there's the aversive, which is what most of this group is. This tends to attract mostly strongly aversive tendencies because of the way that we present shit. And of the 3, the dreamy, the greedy, and the aversive, the Buddha or friends of his, or maybe nobody that knew him, said that the aversive has the advantage.
So
See?
would that be like when you say something like, how much more relevant can you take? And she says, not much. And I'm thinking, as much as you can bring on.
Yeah.
Because I'm being aversive.
Yes, that's the,
Oh, man, I'm really strongly aversive.
yeah. I mean, that's the strength.
No, you don't.
You don't say, right? That's the strength of the aversive, persona. Yeah. It has,
It's the best to be.
it is in that, yes, it is the best to be in that dance anyway. Yeah. Right. But for the love and peace gang, right? The self-loathing victims that are thinking that they would be better off with a little compassion, the aversive is very dangerous.
What was that again?
The other personality styles that, let's say, turn to Buddhism for some kind of succor,
Right.
to them the aversive is dangerous. But the aversive is by nature the least likely to suffer from blanket delusion, blanket self-delusion. Yeah. And by virtue of the way that, I speak about things and characterize things, it's more suitable to an aversive persona. Because if you're a peace and love, star fucker, this is not going to be your.
So do I have time to run out to the car and bring in a bracelet that I like to wear all the time? You guys are getting the biggest kick.
Okay, show and tell. We promised to be here.
That's so
Yeah, look both ways before you go out. I don't know where OJ is tonight. What's that?
It's
Oh.
bring gifts to Francine Day.
Wow, I didn't know that. You want something?
No, I'm all set with gifts.
You're set with
today.
gifts?
I think that, yeah. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Don't want you to be empty-handed if it's your day for gifts.
Yeah, no, I'm set with those.
All right then. Got that squared away.
The light was flickering back there, and I'm like, I watched Interstellar, I think it was recently, and I'm like, it could be Morse code.
Oh, that's totally Matthew McConaughey.
He's in the closet.
Yeah, well, he wouldn't think so.
That's yourself in the future coming back. Being,
That's you in the
"Don't do
future
this.
coming back.
Don't
I
do
know,
this.
Stop talking.
Don't go.
Don't go. Yeah, really, don't leave.
Step for one, divorce that guy. And
Divorce that
run.
guy and run. Really. Divorce that guy and run. Exactly. Yeah, nobody was in the chat room, but there are 2 people watching that are most likely asleep and left their computers on.
names in the back.
That's the most boring shit I've ever heard, Mildred. I'd rather watch Lawrence Welk. At least there's bubbles.
So with all the love I can muster,
Yes.
this is how I feel.
I can't read anything from here. Nice. That is
I wear
an,
this a lot, but I have a tendency to take it off because I really love you.
yeah, that's an aversive bracelet. Yeah. You might want to put it here in front of the camera so people at home can see it.
I love everybody, but
Yeah. Here, point it right to the camera and everyone at home can read it.
Here.
Oh, here, okay. I'll show everyone. There you go. Here you go, everyone. I'm gonna try to
We should put that around the gerbil's neck.
fuck off. There you go. Thank you.
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching our show.
That's a good place to end it.
That's a good place to end it.
Are you offended?
Thanks for joining us, everyone. I hope it was as much fun for you as it was for us. Okay.